Hello puppies, it's Borenzo here, and today we are gonna assemble my PC. We have our Intel Core i5 6600K. The motherboard is a Z170A, that is the chipset, gaming M5 Msi. I have 2 DIMMs, 16 gigs of RAM total, 8 and 8, DDR4. This is my SSD, Kingston. This one is 240 gigs, 1 hard drive, 1 terabyte. This is my CPU cooler, Liquimax 2 Enermax. It's a European product, it's pretty good. Last but not least, our power supply PSU. It's a Corsair CX 750M semi-modular. It's pretty good. And here it is, our case. It's a NZXT S340. Really nice, really clean look. I'm gonna build the PC with the components I showed you before, plus a graphics card, which is not here yet, but it's not important because we have most of the stuff we need. This is my case. First thing to do is to unscrew the thumb screws and take off both the panels, front and back. Store the panels somewhere safe, and then start unwrapping everything that is inside the case. Inside the case, we're gonna have a box with the screws and some cables. Unwrap the cables and store them somewhere inside the case. First thing we're going to do in this build is we're going to install our hard drives, because the power supply will be coming from this side and we will not have room for installing the hard drives afterward. Remove the front panel and the dust filter and insert your hard drive inside this box. With a screwdriver and with some M3 screws, we're going to have to screw from the front and from the back. Our first storage drive is in. Let's go to the SSD. For the SSD, we're going to unscrew this screw and remove this. We're going to install the SSD right here. Put the screw somewhere safe. I'm going to screw it right here. Take the SSD and position it just like this. Remember, the power and the data comes from this side, and this side has to face the back. Once the SSD is in place and it's aligned with the screws, screw it in on all 4 sides, not too tight. Once the SSD is installed, pop it back into place and screw it in. I would suggest use a screwdriver for just being extra sure. Now that SSD and hard drive are in the case, let's go to the power supply. Unscrew these 4 screws and remove the panel. Figure out how you want to install your PSU. I'm going to install it fan down, so I'm going to have to flip it. Just like this. A nice touch to this one is that anywhere you're going to put it, the side that is going to be exposed to the window is going to be readable. Align the case panel with the screws. For screwing it in, you're going to need 6-32 hexagon head screws. At least those are what I'm using. Don't use other screws that are not 6-32 because they might damage your product. Figure out what cables you're going to need. I'm going to use a PCIe and a SATA cable and plug them in right now. Once everything is plugged in, you can put the power supply inside the case. Slide it in from the back, just like I'm doing. Put the cables first. And then the power supply. Tight all the screws down. With the SATA power cord, I connected my SSD and my hard drive, and I did some cable management. You should do the same. Take the motherboard and place it on top of the cardboard box it came with. Now take your RAM and install it. In this motherboard, the RAM is to be installed in this slot first and this slot second. So open the slots just like I'm doing. Align this pin with the pin on the RAM. Put the RAM in and firmly press in both sides. The RAM will pop right into place. Do the same thing for the other one. Now it's time for installing the CPU. The CPU goes inside here. First thing, we're going to need the CPU. Go grab it. Undo the security latch right here. This will show the pins. Do not touch them. They're really fragile. Grab the CPU from the sides, not from the top or not from the bottom. Align the triangle. The CPU should just pop into place. It's time for mounting the motherboard inside the case. Attention though, make sure all the standoffs, such as this ones, are placed for your motherboard. Now it's time to install the backplate or cooling system. Turn the case so you can look at the back. Once the cooler is plugged in, just do some cable management. I didn't show you how to install the cooler because they're all different. Well, the manual is pretty easy to follow. Following the instructions for your manual, plug in the front panel connectors. Connect your SSD and your hard drive with a SATA cable that looks just like this one. After some cable management, it's now time to apply the thermal compound to the CPU. I used the line method, but you can use any method you like. Don't apply too much or too little, because it affects the cooling of the CPU. Put the cooler on top of the CPU and start tightening the screws down. Do a start pattern.
2,000 years later.
It's here. GTX 1070, we can finish our build. Let's install it. Remove the protections from the card, such as these ones. This card is big. This is my hand, that is the card. This card is beefy. Remove the back plates, just the ones you need. After the card is in place, secure it with the two screws right here. And then, plug in the PCIe cables. This one is going to need a 6-pin and an 8-pin connector. Close the front panel of the PC and you are done. Look at this beauty. I'm really happy I built this guy. And now I'm gonna set it up. What a good boy.